In this particular video, we shall be discussing about a particular ontology regarding field of economics. So as you can see, we have opened the Protégé software where we have created the economics ontology or the field of economics. This is an ontology for the field of economics. As you can see in the ontology matrix, it shows you the class count, object property count, data property count, subclasses, equivalent properties, subject properties, data properties. It gives you an overall view of the entire ontology created. The ontology is created from scratch following Neon methodology scenario 1, where we proceeded from requirement specification, then conceptualization, formalization, and implementation. So let's have a look in the entities of the ontology. As you can see, these are the top classes defined. This includes country, dimension of economics, economic policies, economist, genre, market, organization, returns on factors, schools of thought, and tools of operation. The most important among them is dimension of economics, followed by economic policies, genre, school of thoughts, and tools of operation. Let's have a look what lies inside economic dimension of economics. So we have the following subclasses of macroeconomics, microeconomics. Let's have a further look, dive deeper into macroeconomics. So as you can see, there is building blocks. We have development, growth, where we have divided it, and in growth we have types and indicators. In microeconomics, we have agents in an economy and factors of production. So as you can see, that in dimension of economics, as we all know, it constitutes of large components and small micro individuals who are the agents in an economy, and the bigger concept like growth and development. So the dimension of economics is divided into macroeconomics and microeconomics, which is replicated in this part of the ontology. So as you can see, there are producers and consumers who lies under the subclass of agents in an economy, which is itself an subclass of microeconomics. As you can look into goods and services, you can find that uh, clothes, fish, travel, these are defined as uh, the goods and services, and it is disjoint with consumers, which is true because these are produced by the producers and sold in an market structure, exchanged via legal tender, where the instances are Indian rupee, pounds, and taka. Let's have a look at the individuals. So this is done with the classes. Let's have a look at the individuals. So there are around 51 individuals in total. As you can see, this is a particular individual where I have defined OPEC, and OPEC, and this is Indian rupees, and there are many other more. So as I was defining OPEC, so as you can see, I have defined it as a market and type of only oligopoly. It is sold by only this many countries, which is a collection of few countries which act as a monopoly group, defined as oligopoly in economics, and it is only type of oligopoly. Apart from this, we have also defined the object property assertions, data type assertions, and these are different individuals from vegetable market and Indian railways, which are again instances of different other market structure like perfect competition and monopoly for Indian railways. So let's have a look at the object properties. These are the following object properties which consist of and sold by an equivalent, while branches of economics is inverse to a branch of, like microeconomics and microeconomics are defined as branches of dimension of economics. So this is a inverse property, is a branch of, is an inverse property of branches of economics, where again the domain becomes macro and microeconomics and the range becomes the dimension. Now in classes itself I have forgotten to mention, we have defined macroeconomics equivalent to economy of nation. Going further, there is economic policies there, which are fiscal policy, monetary policies, there are trade policies. Inside them all we have different equivalent classes. So without further ado, let's just have a look at an ontograph. So let's start with this you know dimension of economics, followed, let's click further into it. So we have macroeconomics, which is connected via dimension economics, as you can see. Then let's have a look at the microeconomics first. Since both of them are the branches of economics, we are starting with it. And then let's have a look at agents in an economy, focusing on microeconomics first. And then you have consumers, you have producers, again. Okay. So interestingly, if you click on this goods and services and legal tender, it's all showing that they are interrelated with producers, which is true because producers are the ones who produces the good. So if you click on this goods and services, you can see it is showing the instances of this particular class, goods and services, which is travel and clothes. If we click on producers, like we want to see who are the producers in this ontology, let's have a click. And yes, is showing Indian government, Venezuela vendors, Iran, Qatar, Venezuela firms, Saudi Arabia, which we have defined separately all together in our ontology. So let's have a look here. Now if I just for your easier understanding, so this is an instance of producer. Now there is an option here for this below marking, which defines how this red line depicts the domain and range, the branches of economics consist of. So all the data object property the object properties are defined and denoted by the different classes. So for example, this purple line shows that Qatar is an instance of the producer class, firm is an instance of producer class, and consumer itself is an instance of households and consumers. So this is a small introduction of the first part. Now let's clear it. If you want to look into the economist, let's have a look here. So yes, again, behavioral economics is a yes. So what you find here, behavioral economics, classical economics, and experimental economics, there are many. Okay, Indian economists, Keynesians. Now here again, what is happening is, you find in, as we click here, there are individual classes, instances who are related over here as the core economics that we have defined as individuals, and again they are all coming under this particular class. Yes, so they are interrelated with this all part. Yes. So this is again a brief snapshot of the economist class, where we have defined the initiated the different kinds of different types of economists and different individuals. And again there are different subclasses of the economics: Indian economics, experimental economics, and all of that. Okay, so again, when I clicked over in experimental economics, is showing there's a relation of social experiments, economics, and social science, which is true while defining this particular class. Now, how, since I have shown this in graphical mode, let's look if it is true or not. Yes, it is true, because here I have define this class such a way that it is an economist, and there is some work on economics and social experiment. It is a subclass of economics, and Mr. Avijit Banerjee is an economist who is an instance of this particular class. So it is exactly what is shown here in the graph itself. Yeah. So apart from this, another interesting feature, so data type property here are the following ones, which are acting as the literals. For example, they are the legal tenders, RBI Taka, World Bank, and all of that. Now another interesting feature is what we find in our Protégé develop software is the direct relationship to find out instances of your query. Or in other words, for example, you want to find a particular answer to your query, and you can directly do it by writing down your uh, you know dual query. So let's have a quick example of that. For example, I want to see some, start with an easy one. I want to see economists. I want to see the instances of it. So look, here all of the economists which I have defined, all of them are coming here in the query result. I clicked on instances and all of these are coming. Now if I want to look further, has been awarded Nobel Prize. So look, Abhijit Banerjee, Daniel Kahneman, and Richard Thaler. If I click over here in the individual, I will find out that yes, Richard Thaler, he is a behavioral economist, he is a financial economist, and yes, he has been awarded Nobel Prize, and Nobel Prize is an XML literal. His work is in finance, psychology, economics, and he's an also financial economist, and I have defined it. If I look into financial economist, yes, some work in finance and commerce, and again here, Richard Thaler is coming here as an financial economics too, as an instance of this class. Whereas if I click on Raghuram Rajan, here it has been written that he is also a financial economist, behavioral economic, not a behavioral economist definitely, but he has not awarded Nobel Prize, or there is a negative object property assertion. So if I click over here and if I want to see only financial economists who have been awarded, if only Richard Thaler is coming. Yes, exactly. So that shows that it's correct, and it's the ontology, what I am ever answers I want to find, it's on the same line. Now let's find something else, some new. Let's see any in a financial economist. Now I have a new query. A financial economist who is of Indian origin, but he has not won any Nobel Prize. I shall repeat, an Indian economist who is a financial economist, but he has not won any Nobel Prize. So just now we found that Raghuram Rajan was definitely one of those kinds who has not been awarded. So let's see who are the economists. So as we find here, Raghuram Rajan is coming and Gita Gopinath is coming up. Super classes. Yes, they are definitely Indian economist, financial economist. And if I click on Gita Gopinath, again. So yes, all of the things are defined properly. Indian economist, financial economist, is of origin only India, is an economist, work on finance, has negative object property assertion, has been awarded Nobel Prize, and different individuals with others. Now, if I want to look something else, not into this particular economist class, and I want to find something regarding, let's say, economic policies. So, what about that? What about some? Let's find a economic policy that is a kind of trade policy, but it is not a type of quota restriction, and it is regulated by you know international organizations. Sounds very uh, complex. Let's start with some trade policies first. I want to execute it. So these are the two types of trade policies: exchange rate moderation and export import subsidies or taxes. Now if I click over here in export import subsidies, I see that it's equivalent to quota restriction, and it is also equivalent to a trade policy, tools of operation, and other description has been given. Whereas for exchange rate moderation, we find out that it is equivalent to trade policy but not a quota restriction. So definitely it means that if I am querying my that complex query where I was defining a trade economic policy which is a trade policy but not a quota restriction, so the answer should be only exchange rate moderation. So let's see what is happening if I'm writing the query. Yes, it is coming exchange rate moderation only. So like this you can search many queries from this particular you know ontology. I'll give another example. For example, name a monopolist which acts as a producer and which sells only Indian Railways. So the answer, let's see what it is coming. So let's find out who are the monopolists first in the, for your easier reference. The monopolies over here. Monopoly. The instances, Indian Railway is a kind of monopoly. Let's see who sells Indian Railways. Producer is a kind of producer and sells only Indian Railways. Since we have already found that Indian Railways is acting as a monopoly, so let's see who are the monopolists or the producers who sells Indian Railways. So Indian government is the answer. So this is what is all about. So finally, just let's have a look on the entire ontology. It's very interesting. So this is VOWL, which is a dynamic representation of your entire ontology. It gives you an entire representation of the entire ontology with strings, literals, and it's dynamic in nature. So yes, till it takes time to get its place and be more clearer. Let's move on to, so let's, for example, if I deep down here, you can find this particular international organization. So I have defined World Bank, IMF, WTO as the instance of this, international organization, and I have defined this as literal, and they are defined as strings. So they are coming up like this. Again, here it is a bit, like this. But yeah, again, central bank, only RBI is the instance and it's a string. Then tools of operation, we have monetary policy, we have again fiscal policies, we have trade policies, money supply, and all of that. Coming over to the building blocks of macroeconomics, we have growth and development. In growth, we have types of growth: sustainable, inclusive, and green growth. In building blocks, again, what are the indicators of this economy? So, growth, unemployment, GDP level. In development, again, we have SDGs, and in economist we have the Indian economist, experimental economics, then relation with Nobel Prize, India. All of this have been defined. Similarly here, the main this dimension of economics, we have the legal producers, consumers, we have the different market structure, perfect competition, oligopoly, monopoly, and then again we have this factors of production, land, returns, capital, this legal tender. So all of this are given, and it's showing a ontological description of the entire described ontology in on a graphical, dynamic graphical manner. So yes, that is all about this ontology. So I will also show where we have given this one. So this is a project work of our an ontology, where as I started with the ontology, I said that we followed with this neon methodology, where we followed with scenario one from specification to implementation. So this ontology's purpose is to provide an idea with the domain of economics, focusing on notable economics, genre, dimension, important organization. It will help with any of the researchers, policymakers who want to build foundations, want to understand the decision making processes, the policy building, analysis, the science behind it, the tools of operation to conduct policies. So we have defined all of that. We found out some competency questions, defined it under different sub classes. So these are in line with the top classes which we have also seen in our ontology. Again, we found out some pre-glossary terms. These are again in line with our ontology development. Then for formalization, I have already defined the entire ontology, where I have given you the brief description. So these are some of the snapshots. And yes, that's an description of our entire ontology. So yes, thank you for your patience. Thank you so much. And yes, that is the end of our presentation. I hope you like it, and thank you so much.